make sure that you understand it real quickly, because this is what your homework's going to be about tonight. 7.75% of $30. Thank you. You got to be able to do stuff like this, and you got to know when you get an answer, does that answer make sense or not? All right? Because if you don't do it correctly, then it's not going to make sense, and you can go back and try to figure out where you messed up at. This goes right back to all the stuff we've been doing with state tax, federal tax. You know, if there's a certain percentage, you can look at it and sort of see if you're in the right range. I don't usually look at my pay stubs because it's just direct deposited, and my wife deals with the pay stub, and she looks at it on the computer and stuff, and all the bills come out that way. But every now and then, I'll look at it, and I'll make sure that the percentages look right. Not that I don't trust the people here at the school, but I just know how things can get messed up because it's happened many times in the past. All right, so every now and then I'll look at it and I know, hey, this percentage about should be coming out of my check, and make sure we're somewhere in the right ballpark. Same idea here, or when you go to a department store, especially. Walmart's really bad about this. You go to Walmart and you buy something that says it's 7.75% off. I know that's not normal for them, but it's 20% off, or it's 10% off, or 40% off. And they get up there, and that cashier does what with it? They scan it. Do they have a clue what popped up on their register? No. All right? So if you're not watching and you're buying a whole bunch of stuff, probably about 50% of the time, I would say at least, and I know that sounds like an exaggeration, at least 50% of the time at Walmart, stuff isn't marked correctly. Yeah. All right? And not only, it's not that it's not marked correctly.
When they scan it, it's like different.
Because somebody hasn't changed it in the computer system yet. All right? And I'll guarantee if we went into Walmart today and we grabbed 6 items that said that they were marked down, and we took them up front and had them scan them, I would bet any amount of money that at least 2 out of the 6 are not in the computer yet. And I would think more.
How much can I bet? Or like customer service, I hate
Guarantee it.
You call them and you try to ask them to look for something. Most of the time they don't even look for it.
Oh yeah. So you gotta make sure you're doing this stuff correctly. All right. First thing on this, of always means times. In math, of always means times. So you're going to be multiplying here. We got to bump this over every single time. We're going to bump it over 2 places. So 0.0775. Sydney's right. That sort of doesn't look right, right? But that's when you start dealing with, especially numbers like banking numbers. These are the percentages. These are the percentages that they use. They don't use like 25% or 30% or 15%. It's some percentage like this, or some percentage like we talked about last time, where it was 0.75% or something like that. All right. So we change that. We're going to multiply that times 30. Somebody multiply that. Before we do that, 7% is less than 10%, right? What is 10% of $30? If I'm in Walmart right now that says this $30 item that I'm getting ready to buy is 7.75% off, I usually think in my head, okay, 10% would be about this much. And that gives me an idea about what price it should ring up. All right? What's 10% of $30? $3. So when I get up front, this item should ring up $27, somewhere around there. Okay? So when we get our answer here, we're not going that far because we're not subtracting it. When we get our answer here, it should be somewhere less than 3. What do you come up with when you punch it into your calculator? 2.3 what? 2.5. Now I think they wanted this to round it off to the nearest cent, right? Which number is in the cents place in our number here? So that's the number we're looking at. What's that 5 tell us to do to it? So if this is an item and it's going to be marked off so much, it's going to be about $2.30 off of the $30. Or if for whatever reason, let's say you're a loan shark and you loan somebody $30 and you tell them the interest rate is, or the percentage rate is 7.75%. How much extra are they going to have to pay you back? $2.32. All right. Or maybe right now a good thing of this would be a credit card, because a lot of credit cards are about this rate right now. So you go out and you buy something on a credit card and you don't pay it off at the end of the month like you're supposed to. How much interest are they going to add on to that $30 item? That right there. All right.
They usually add a whole lot more than
Well, if it's only $30, then. Okay, so you got to be able to figure that stuff out, and you need to. That's a credit card's a good thing. If you have a credit card, know stuff like this. Know that, hey, this is how much gets added on if I don't pay it off at the end of the month, because then you stop and think, you know what? Is this $30 item really worth the extra money I'm going to pay on down the road if I don't pay it off right away? Probably not. All right. So stuff like, if I have no money in my wallet today, so if I plan on going to stopping by the grocery on the way home, usually I'll stop by like a gas station or something and get me a pop and a bag of chips or something. Do I really want to put that on some kind of credit card? Absolutely not. I can wait that 30 minutes till I get home instead of paying, you already pay $1.89 for a pop plus the tax, whatever it is, for a normal 20-ounce pop. Well, you put it on that credit card, and if you don't pay it off right away, if it's not paid off that next month, you're paying interest on that, and it ends up being $2, $3, $4, or $5, whatever it is, on down the road, and that's just not very bright. You better not make a mess on my floor. Yeah.
Taste of it.
Oops. On the homework, questions, problems you want to see worked off of page 133 or 136, 133 or 136. Tell me the page number and the problem.
Can you do 133, 11?
Number 11 on 133. Use the exemption amounts in figure 2.2 on page 133 to find the amount of exemptions and the annual state income taxes. So problem 11. Let's do this.
Let's go to Carl.
What money? I'm broke, you're broke.
I got mine. I'm sure I.
Jeff Falls, a heating system salesman, is single with 3 dependents. He earns $57,900 annually, and his state tax rate is 3%. So number 11. He's got 3 dependents and him. Flip back a page for me. How much does he get for him? What kind of 2,000?
As a single, yeah.
Is that right? $2,000. So state's telling him you don't have to pay any kind of tax on the first $2,000. That $2,000 is for you. He's got 3 dependents. What's it say in that little chart on the previous page?
2,000 per dependent.
So if he's got 3 of them, how much is that going to be?
$6,000.
$6,000. So the answer to part A, how much to total allowances does he get?
$8,000.
$8,000, good. So he gets $8,000 total allowances. Then to do part B, they want to know his tax. He earned $57,900. First thing we get to do with that is subtract off the $8,000. Somebody subtract that for me.
$49,900.
$49,900. When you subtract that, that's your taxable wages. That's how much you're actually allowed to be taxed on. They say that his state has a 3% sales tax. What's the first thing you gotta do to that 3%? So 0.03, somebody multiply that for us.
1,497.
Say it again.
1,497.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I said.
So 0 out here.
Yeah, I'll do it again real quick. Yeah.
So how much state tax does he have to pay this year? That's his state tax. Deductions, or his allowances, part A, this is his state tax. Other questions?
Can you do 10 on 33?
10 on 30. Number 10, complete the formula to find the tax withheld. Erase. Stupid stuff, it's not gonna erase, is it? Ignore that, ignore all that. It doesn't want to erase. And I'm not gonna mess with it. So on number 10, this person earns $64,550. Their allowances or their exemptions, $6,000. So somebody, first thing we're going to do is subtract that. Somebody subtract that for me. 58,550. That's their taxable wages. That's how much the state's going to tax them on that 58,550. That's part A.
Yeah, I wasn't even paying attention.
Part B. Part B is the tax rate. This time they didn't give you the tax rate, did they? They told you Part C this time, which Part C was how much tax they actually paid, which is 3,586. So that hopefully you can understand this. Normally we would take this, we would take your pay times the tax rate, and that would give us the amount of tax you pay. Right? That's normally how we would do it. This time they're telling us this number. So let's just throw in some easy numbers here. If I told your tax was $20, we don't know the rate, so I'm just going to put an R in its place. We do know your pay. All right, let's say your pay was $100. What would you do here to get R by itself? How do you undo 100 times R? Divide both sides by 100, right? That's going to cancel these out, and that's going to leave you with R equals whatever 20 divided by 100 is. That's the same thing you're going to do here. You're going to take, you got this times the rate, gives you this. Well, instead of knowing the rate, this time we know how much tax, and we know his total pay. We want the rate to be by itself, so what do we got to do with this 58,550? Take this number over here, And make sure you don't divide it backwards. This again, where you gotta use a little common sense and make sure your answer comes out to make sense. You divide it that way. Somebody divide that for me. I'll tell you this much, just to help you out. The first thing you should tell me is a decimal.
0.06.
So if you divided it backwards, divide it backwards for me real quick, see what you come out with.
$16.32.
1632, 16.32.
Yeah, sorry.
If you come out with something like that, you know that's wrong because you still got to change that to a percent by moving the decimal. Well, if I bump that decimal over 2 places that way, that means he's paying 1,632% of his wages. That doesn't make sense.
Wait, are you doing question 10?
All right, yeah.
Is that what I said?
No, I did 11 a minute ago.
Oh, okay.
Were you in space when I did it?
No.
She was, wasn't she? What do we change this to? What's our rate? How do you change that to a percentage?
Move it up 2 places.
Move it backwards 2 places, what do you come up with?
6%.
So that state has a 6% tax rate. If you don't come out with something like that, if you come out with some number like 16%, when we looked at that chart, was there any state on there that went up to a 16%? Doesn't make any sense. Nobody's gonna live in a state that charges them 16% of their wages for a tax, all right? Other questions?
Number 19, on the same page, 33.
So are places that are like less like wealthier, like less populated, have like the states like have higher taxes, or like how do they determine like what percentage?
That's up to the state.
Really?
So the state just determines, okay, how much,
Like California, they know they have a pretty state, so they're like a lot of rich.
how much can we get? How much do we need to run the state? And how much can we actually charge
Yeah.
without people
So it has nothing to do with.
being all irate?
It has nothing to do with like how people live in the state. How big the state is.
That's what I was trying.
They might, I mean, if it's more populated, you know, maybe they try to cut the taxes down a little bit to help out each person.
Yeah.
So maybe, but
There's no way.
Aren't
Not
taxes-
necessarily.
When you like taxes in New York like 12% or something?
I don't remember what it was.
Like New York City, the city.
Uh,
No, Texas was not.
I mean, it means the whole state, not just the Big Apple. Just Big Apple.
well, the state tax is different than a regular municipal tax. So some places you might have a city tax or a town tax or something.
Yeah, school tax, yeah.
State. Well, yeah, but if you go to like, some towns actually have their own tax. So New Paris could pass something where they actually have their own tax for just the city of New Paris. Usually around here, it's not, you don't have a city tax, usually you have like a levy for, the New Paris Library or fire department or something like that, you'll have, and that'll come out of your taxes if you live in New Paris. But other towns, like, I worked in West Carrollton for a while. West Carrollton actually had their own city tax. Richmond has its own city tax. So if you work in Richmond, I think, you might look on there and see it might say city tax. I could be wrong. I thought it had its own city tax. Maybe they did away with it. But if you look on your check stub, it'll say city tax. So you got federal tax, state tax, and then the city tax. And once you pay the city, that's something you really gotta watch for, because once you pay the city tax, it's gone. There is no going back and getting some of your money back.
And with Richmond, once you pay it, all you're gonna see is more orange cones up there.
Which one did you guys say, 19? Same page? Drew Swanson is an insurance appraiser. He earns $48,650 a year. He is married with no dependents. He pays $1,786 in state income taxes. What is his state's tax rate? Same idea here. Again, you're going to have, first thing we got to do is we got to take his gross minus his deductions or his exemptions. So we're going to do that. That's going to give us his taxable wages. What is going on? That's going to give you his taxable wages. Once you know that number, you take the taxable wages times the rate, and that equals his state tax. All right? Now this time, again, they're telling us these two things and we're trying to figure out the rate. So it might be beneficial to you, maybe write this down. If you're looking for the rate's going to be the tax amount divided by your taxable pay. All you're doing is you're trying to get rate by itself, so you're going to divide both sides by whatever you earn that's taxable. And that's going to tell you the rate. Look at that problem again. How much did they say he paid in taxes?
$1,786. Oh wait. Yeah, state. Sorry.
1,786. That's it. No cents. Then we got to find how much income he actually had that's taxable. All right? What was his gross income? 48,750. 650. That's right. And then we got to subtract off his deductions. What he tells about the guy.
He's married with no dependents.
So he's got no dependents. He's married. On that little chart, what did it say? How much does he get to deduct then? 4,000. So we take 48,650 minus that, which is going to give us 44,650. That's what goes right here. 44,650. Again, this is going to tell us his rate, how much the state's rate is. So we divide that. Somebody divide that for me. When you divide that, what should your answer come out to be? Give me before you do it, give me something. Can it be 3.5? Should be behind the decimal, right? 0.04? Again, when you're reading the number to me for the rest of the year, don't read that. Is everybody listening? Michael, you listening?
Yeah, don't read that.
Don't read that 0. 0.04. That's all I want to know. 0.04. I'm just telling you. 0.04. 0.04. 0.04. What is that as a percentage? 4%. So his state's tax rate is 4%. Does that make sense for the state to have a 4% tax rate? Yeah, that's probably about normal. Give me a percentage that would make sense. 28%. Not going to make sense.
Basically anything above it.
All right, so anything from 0 to
I mean, like
13 or so, maybe. Once you get to 13, that's pushing it a little bit. You got to be a pretty well-off person for any state in our United States to charge you 13%.
if I live in Florida.
All right, what we're going to cover today is Social Security and Medicare. Social Security and Medicare. Stuff that, for you guys, sort of not good because you got to pay into it. You're never going to draw out of it because it's going to be long gone by that time.
Yeah. Mr. Cheney was talking about all of this, they're gonna get Social Security.
Yeah, that's why you
United
guys
States
go.
is gonna get nuked. Yeah. So I'm investing in a bunch of Bitcoin and Litecoin
Does
and
Disney
silver and
like
gold.
the EBBs?
Bitcoin actually.
I mean, that actually,
Yeah.
because the money has no value. We give it value. It's a paper.
Gross.
So Social Security and Medicare, they sort of get added together on a check stub, on a pay stub. And then sometimes you'll see them separate. And the reason for that, I think, somebody get out that check stub that I gave you.
You got it in your army? Oh, right. You get it. Yeah, good. You're out of
Right here. Right here.
I think if we look at it, it's got Medicare on it, but there's no Social Security tax anywhere on here. All right? So some people pay Social Security tax, some people don't. Some people pay Medicare. I think everybody pays Medicare. And I say that, and I'm sure there's somebody who doesn't have to pay Medicare out of their wages for whatever reason. The reason that person that I gave you the check stub of there doesn't have to pay Social Security is because they're not allowed to draw Social Security because they pay into a retirement fund. All right, like a 401k. Now, you gotta be careful of that, because even if you pay into a 401k, you might still have to pay Social Security.
I heard it's like cheaper to borrow from your 401k than it is to, like, homeland.
That might be, but there's certain stipulations on those, so you might go in there and say, yeah, I want to borrow from this, and they say, no.
No, I don't know. I mean, that's
All right, it'd be cheaper to borrow from it because it's your money. But again, there's stipulations where they're not just gonna let you come in and say, yeah, I want to take out this much money.
Yeah.
It's not the way it works. And there's penalties and other things.
Yeah. I mean, I can kind of see in a way how it could be, but
Like, so you don't have to pay like interest and all that stuff.
You still have to pay interest on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
On your own money?
On your own money, yes.
that is sick.
If you're putting it into a 401k, if you're putting it into a 401k, it's supposed to stay there. It's not supposed to be where you go and say, hey, I need $5 a day so I can stop
Yeah,
at Taco
checking
Bell.
account.
Right, it's not a checking account. It's supposed to stay there, all right? So when you put the money in there, if you go in there and you draw it out, they're gonna charge you for taking it out.
Take a year when they charge you for using your own money.
It's
I don't
not,
understand that. They
If-
add extra to it.
if it's your own money, if you're thinking of it that way, then don't pay into the 401k. You know, that's up to you. So
I think the banks are always gonna go out.
they made a deal with you when you started this 401k plan or this retirement plan, that they were gonna keep your money for you and you were gonna continue to put money in. All right? Well, if you're in there drawing it out, they're still sticking with their end of the bargain. They're keeping your money and paying you interest on it, and it's gonna build money. Well, if you're in there drawing it out, they can't do their part of the job.
Right.
So they're gonna charge you for that. So once you paid into that 401k, it's really no longer your money. Once you're paid into a retirement plan, this person that we have the check stub for there, they pay into that STRS that's on there. I think it's like at the very top.
$327.
That's a retirement plan. right? They can't go to that retirement plan and say, hey, you got 320 of my dollars, I need it this week. That's not the way it works. That money's supposed to be there for retirement.
Who get more than 300?
You joined in a contract with them. You said, I'm going to give you this money. You're going to pay me some money over the long haul so that you can use my money. All right?
When you retire, what's it do? Go, it comes back to you?
Then you have to, then there's ways you can get it out. All right? It depends, again, it depends on what it is.
Is there
If
any
it's a
way you can
401k, if it's in a different kind of retirement, every retirement plan's a little different. So that's something that you gotta look at when you start to pay into a retirement plan. You say, okay, how is this gonna work? When am I gonna be able to get back my money without any kind of penalty towards me? Am I ever gonna be able to get back my money without any, what happens?
I'm sure you get screwed over in some way. Just a little bit.
You don't, no, because you're gonna make money. If you start up some kind of annuity, you just gotta be careful, because I know my wife's grandmother had annuities. Well, she was 80-some years old, and she still couldn't draw out of them, because she hadn't had them long enough. So you gotta have them so long. Well, now, that annuity, because my wife's dad inherited that annuity, and now that annuity came to me and my wife.
Do you have to like?
And now, you have to start, now they started paying out. All right, so there's a certain term there that you gotta keep something in, and that's the way most of them work. And we'll get to, I don't know a whole lot about it, but as we go through the year, when we get to that retirement, instead of pulling the Michael, putting your head in your shirt,
Dark. Not that.
focus, and that way you'll know it, right? That way you won't screw up like I did. And I had a math teacher tell me when I first started teaching, do this, take $20 and you put it into this annuity. Every pay, $20. You're not gonna miss $20. It's not gonna make any difference, right?
Do you have to like keep paying into it, or can you just put like a set amount and just
You could
let it
just, you
grow?
could do that.
You can just let it grow.
Yeah, now that's something, again, you gotta, before you sign anything, you gotta make sure you know what, hey, I'm gonna pay in for 3 years. And then you guys can do whatever, and then after that, I'm done. If I would have started $20 a pay, the way it works, I think on an annuity, I can't even remember, we'll make it low. We'll say 3%. All right, it used to be higher. Now, when the banks, had all that trouble a few years ago, and the banks sort of went way downhill, you guys were really young then. Banks went way downhill, a lot of people lost their houses and stuff, and it went way down. Annuities used to be, or like savings accounts and stuff, used to have a higher percentage on them. They don't anymore. $20. First year, somebody help me out here. First year, I pay in, I'm on the bi-monthly, so that's 24 pays, right? Actually, I was on the 26th page, but it was going 24 when I first started teaching. 20 times 24, that's 480. That means in a year, I would have put $480 into this account. All right? I've been teaching for 20-some years now. If we look at that, and I write down that like 20 times, somebody just help me out. Let's even go, let's go 30. Because 30 is when I could retire. Take 30 times 480.
144. Wait.
14,400.
14,400. So that would be $14,400 that I've saved up over that. Doesn't seem like a whole lot, right? But when you start putting on this annuity, somebody help me out. What's 0.03 times 480?
1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,
14.4. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add that to that. So that's $494.40.
You only made $14 off of that?
Off of that 480.
Oh, that.
All right, now, we go to the next year and we add another 480 to that. Now we're up to, what is that, 97440. Somebody take 3% of that.
I can see where that comes to.
What's that give you? .03 times that.
29.23.
We add that money on. Then we add on this other 480 for the next year. And what are we gonna do with that? Because this is what's in the account now. We're gonna take another 3% of that. And notice what's happening here. Here, this was 480 the first year, 960 the second year. We should have made it something easier. Add a 480 to that, that'd be what, 1440. Then add another 480, that'd be 1920. Notice here, we're up like almost 40-something dollars, $43. And it's gonna keep growing. It doesn't seem like a lot these first 4 or 5 years, but then you get down to year number 10, 11, 12, what starts happening? Gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And by the time you're done, and what he told me is by the time, if I would put that $20 in, he might have said $20 a week, maybe, so it'd been $40 for every 2 pays. By the time I put that money in, by the time I was done, I would have over $500,000 in that account.
So do you just set that up like any bank, or is there a certain place you gotta go?
Yeah, well, you can do it with a bank, you can sometimes,
Union.
like here, you can do it through the school, they'll take out money, and some of it can be pre-tax. So you can take out that $40 or $20 or whatever before anybody takes their taxes out. The federal government allows you to do that on some of them, not on all
Would
of
you rather
them.
do that after that? Because so you know how much you got? Or?
It depends. Because if you do it afterwards, again, it depends on the account, and we'll talk about this more when we get to there. But if you take it out before, like her grandma's annuity was all taken out prior to tax. So when it comes back, no, I take that back. Hers is the opposite. If you take it out before, when you pull it out at the end, you gotta pay taxes on it. But it's just a one-time tax thing. Her annuity was paid after her taxes were already taken out. So as we're getting that money from her annuity, there is no tax on it. We don't have to claim it or anything. It's not considered income because taxes were already paid. So that's something you need to look at.
Yeah.
And that's something when we went in and talked to a financial guy, said, okay, how about if we do it this way? That way, when I get ready to draw it out, we're not paying taxes on it. The taxes are already done. Because who knows,
That amount.
who knows what the taxes are gonna be like 20 years from now?
Yeah.
You know, it might be 75% of your pay or something, or turn to communism or something, who knows? So, you know, you gotta look at that and see which is gonna be best. The other thing, what was I gonna say here? There was something else. Oh. Andrew goes to this farmer. He's gonna go work for this farmer today. And this farmer tells him, Andrew, I will pay you 1 cent per day. He's gonna work for him for a month. I'm gonna pay you 1 cent per day but I'll double your pay each day.
I would do that. I would do that for heartbeat.
And the farmer says, or I'll pay you, let's see, what's $10, $80 a day.
I would already get more than that, because after time, you can get more than 80 bucks a day.
So we're looking at that, and this is sort of, it's not quite to this extreme that I'm getting ready to show you, but we're looking at this, and you got to know how these things build up over time.
It's not a lot.
1 cent, you're right.
But it doubles every day.
So what's he gonna make the second
4
day?
cents,
Second day he's gonna make
2 cents,
third day, fourth day.
6.
8, 16, 32.
So that's fifth, sixth.
That's a lot of days just to
32.
get 16 cents.
But you can still make more money in the end.
In the long run.
64.
Yeah.
After you struggle.
So we got
That's fine.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's $1.28. That's 8. 9 is 246. No, 256. I'm not sure why I was listening to my
Okay,
voice.
so
10 is
What if-
5, 12, 11. We're not even halfway through the month yet.
exactly.
10, 24, 12. For the 12th day, he's gonna make $20.48.
Yeah.
For the 13th day, he's gonna make $40.96.
I'll struggle for half a month. That's fine.
For the 14th day, he's gonna make 80,
By 10 days, you know,
81,
the last two.
12,
What if you don't work for
81, 8,
You're gonna work.
But you're still
What if you
81,
quit?
92.
What
Is
if
that
you
right?
quit?
40.
Why would you quit the? That's your decision.
Has nothing to do with the problem.
15th
That's
day,
nothing to do with the money.
15th day now, all of a sudden he's making 163, 84. 16th day, he's gonna make 320, 327, 68. 17th day, he's gonna make
Those are different days.
655. I'm gonna start rounding it off. 655.
Struggle would be worth it.
18th day, he's gonna make $1,310.
You could make, you would make more in one day in a month, like at the end of the month, than you would in the whole month with $80 a day.
So you gotta really watch, even though, and I didn't understand it when this other math teacher told me. He goes, you need to take out $20. It's not gonna hurt you. You're not gonna miss $20. All
Wow.
right, take it out, put it in an account, and let it sit, and do it for your whole career. And you're never gonna miss it.
Can you get it like set up where it's automatically figured out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on
Yeah.
who you work for, but yeah.
Is he meaning like $20 a week or $20 a pay period?
I can't remember. He might have said $20 a week, but even then, it's $40.
$40, yeah, that's what I was wondering.
$20 a week's $40 for my pay.
Yeah.
Probably not gonna notice it.
So did you ever do it?
Yeah, sort of.
So you guys have probably have to do something else?
No, we did it, and we put it into like accounts for my sons. So,
So like,
But
so
they
you
don't
kind of
have it.
did it.
My mom has to do it for them, like.
I'm still on this 401k thing.
we'll get to it later on in the year. So, Social Security is a federal government program to pay for retirement and disability benefits. All right, Social Security is something pays out to try to help those people who can't work, whatever, so that we don't just have, you don't get to, you work your whole life and you get to a certain age and you can't work anymore, and then all of a sudden you just have to die, or otherwise you're not gonna be able to do anything. All right, so that's what Social Security is. Social Security's changed a lot here in the last few years. When President Obama was in office, he made up a new plan and stuff, and so that's changed a little bit. Medicare is a federal government program to provide medical insurance. And that's really changed over the years when
Obamacare.
when he put in Obamacare and with all the stuff that's going on now with trying to replace that and stuff. So that's changed quite a bit, all right? The new plan that apparently they're gonna try to get through the government right now is going to probably just about do away with Medicare because they're gonna try to ship all the health care back to the states and make the state do it. So instead of Medicare, it'll probably be called something like Ohio Healthcare or something if you live in Ohio, or, you know, Indiana Medical or something, who knows? All right, this formula, probably wanna write it down. Tax withheld equals the gross pay times your tax rate.
I heard you're never ever gonna have to check your FICA still. FICA's way there.
Your FICA what?
Is it FICA or FICA?
FICA.
It's like your score or something.
Oh, your score? No.
Yeah, it's like your FICA score.
That's a different thing. FICA, and that's the reason I put this on here. What FICA is, if you see on, because you might see, if we look back at that pay stub, there is no FICA on it. All right? You might see FICA on your pay stub. And what FICA is?
Federal, you just write that down. Like all
Yes.
that stuff.
FICA
Federal.
is Social Security and Medicare together. Usually they're together. So when you see FICA on your check stub, FICA tax, that's what it is. It's Social Security and Medicare all added together. That one doesn't have it because they don't pay Social Security. So they only get the Medicare taken out.
Maybe I'm thinking of like the score or something.
There's some kind of score
It's on
like
a,
that.
it's like on a credit card.
Yeah.
Some business.
Check your FICA score.
Yeah, let you check it for free or something like that.
For free.
You need a credit card?
No,
No.
it's on like a Discovery
Wendell
card.
went over it last year. Remember that?
Teenagers just kill me.
No, I'm just saying right here on TV.
It's, I know, but you guys, it's still the same. It kills me when it happens to me, but when you do it to each other, it's hilarious. When you're like hearing half of each other's conversations and. Social Security tax, this is very, very important. Social Security tax, the tax rate 6.2%. If you don't have that down, you're not gonna be able to do the homework tonight. Social Security tax, 6.2%. Medicare tax, 1.45%. That's what you pay. That's what the employee pays, all right? At a lot of jobs, like my job here at Trail, in our contract, I pay 1.45%. The school also pays in 1.45%. So they match what I pay. For Social Security, same idea. I pay 6.2%, so if I paid $300 this week or this month to Social Security, the school would pay in that much also. So whatever business you work at, it's normally set up to where they match whatever you're paying in. So if you pay in $30 and Michael R. here is going, well, $30 in. That's all I paid in. That's not going to support me when I get to be 65. Well, your job's also paying in $30, so you don't just have 30 in there, you have 60.
That'd be a good deal.
Social Security tax is only paid on the first $97,500. and the Affordable Care Act, what's the other name for the Affordable Care Act?
Obamacare.
Obamacare. That's Obamacare. It's supposed to be called the Affordable Care Act, but everybody who likes
Obama.
the plan so much called it Obamacare to attach his name to it, and he liked, he didn't take that as a bad thing. That's people who started calling it that because for a bad reason, then it'd be like me saying, hey, it's Ebersol Care. I don't care whether it's a bad thing or a good thing, my name's out there. Alright, so the Affordable Care Act, when that was put in a few years ago, actually raised up Medicare tax to where the people who make more actually pay in more. Alright, so it made it so it's gonna go more. And both these things are probably gonna change here in the next few years as they change the medical plan. Alright, there's probably gonna have to be some kind of change there. But this is what we're gonna go by for our book. 6.2% Social Security tax rate, 1.45% for Medicare tax rate. Riley's gross bi-weekly pay as parts inspector is $728. His earnings to date for the year are $26,208. What amount does his employer deduct from his pay this pay period for Social Security? So we want to figure out Social Security. What did it say the percentage was for Social Security? So we got 26, 2008. Let's see, what is the amount his employer deduct pay for this pay period? So we're not going to use that. We want this pay period. Well, actually, we do want that. 26, 2008. We're going to times that by, you said 6.2? So what do we change that to? Somebody multiply that for me. 26,208 times by 0.062.
1,624.9. It's 0.89.
0.89?
Yeah.
We want to leave it out there.
Oh, okay.
So that's how much he should pay for the whole year to Social Security. Now they want to know how much each pay to take out. If he's on a bi-weekly plan, I think that's what it said, bi-weekly, then how many pays is he going to have per the year? 26. So what do we do with this number? See how much per pay? Divide. So somebody divide that by 26 for us. That's going to tell us how much Social Security he 62 point what?
496.
So about 62.50. That's Social Security. That's how much he pays each pay. $62.50 per pay. The next, how much will he pay in Medicare? We do the same thing. 26,208. We times it by what was the Medicare tax?
1.45.
So what do we change that to?
0.04. No. 0.0145. Right?
Somebody multiply that for us. No, let's look at it. If it was just 1%, what's 1% of 26,000? Move the decimal over 2 places. 260, right? So that's about 1.5%. So 260 plus half that, another 130, be about 390. What'd you say it was?
380.
So that's probably pretty close, isn't it? 380 what?
0.016.
0.16002. That's how much he pays per year to the Medicare program. How are we going to figure out how much he pays each pay? Divide that by what?
How many times you get paid?
How many times does it get paid?
What is it?
Bi-weekly?
20,
26, right?
I thought 26 is bi-monthly.
24 is bi-monthly.
Yeah, you're right.
24 is bi-monthly, 26 is bi-weekly. So 380.02 divided by 26.
1462.
And this is for Medicare. Now, a lot of times on your check stubs, instead of seeing Social Security and Medicare, what you'll see is you'll see FICA. When you see FICA, what they've done with those two is they've added them together. And if we add those two together, it should come up to be 7712. So that's the total. What's his total deduction? 7712. Next question, how much does his employer pay in for Medicare? How do we know how much his employer is going to pay in for Medicare?
They pay the same?
Pays the same thing. So if he paid in 1462, his employer is going to pay in 1462. How much does his employer pay in for Social Security? 6250, right? 6250, same thing as what he paid in. If it's set up right. Some employers don't pay in.
So, you have fishing pool? You have fishing pool?
No, not anymore. I broke mine.
Yeah, mine's in the Burkeville Lake, so. You're right there. I wanna make a quick note like that.
Too poor to get anything right now. Kroger don't pay me nothing. Say Kroger don't pay me nothing.
I haven't even gotten paid yet, bro.
Maybe it's tomorrow.
I don't get paid for like another week or something.
You get paid bi-weekly?
No, I get paid weekly, but they said it'd take like 2 weeks to get it all set up.
The first week you're working, you're not really getting paid from this week.
Yeah, they hold it for, yeah, I know.
So you usually always.
I didn't know that.
To make sure you keep working. I like to do that to make sure you keep working. There are a lot of people who got jobs, get paid once in a while. So they're like, yeah, I'm good.
You guys are thinking about it wrong. They don't hold anything.
Yeah.
You work a week,
You don't get paid.
you get paid for that week, you get paid.
At the end of it, isn't it?
Right, so
Yeah.
it's not like they're holding back stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, they're not gonna give you a check up front and then you say, you know what, I really don't feel like working this week, so I'm not coming in.
Well, it's my money and I need it now.
This ain't a commercial.
I can do whatever I want.
The check I'm gonna get tomorrow is where I worked last week.
Because when I started at McDonald's, we're bi-weekly, and I missed the pay week, so it kind of sucked. I had to wait for everybody's pay. But
Yeah, when it's bi-weekly or something like that, it seems like it takes forever, because then you're actually working for 3 weeks before you get.
you can get
that
anybody.
check.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
that's that first check.
Yeah.
Don't forget, is there? We take a bet, say he forgets?
Forget
You want
one.
to bet?
I got 20 on. No, I'm playing.
I got $1.
There's something that's $100 on one.
I could probably bet it and he'd still forget.
They could bet they
He would
forget.
lose
You'd be like,
money.
"We made a bet?"
He would lose money and still forget.
That's the one thing I never do. You can't make money. You gotta make back what you